On to the next one. So what resources or professionals should a business owner consider when they're seeking guidance on integrating the personal and business finances?
Yes. So on every major stage for business ownership, so when you're starting out, right, first thing you need to do, come up with a business idea, obviously, but you're going to want to consult a lawyer and an accountant.
For sure.
Right at the beginning, right? Should you be a sole prop, a partnership? Should you incorporate?
Right.
And then as you go along, I come into the mix on the financial planning side to make sure that we're balancing that growth goal and the goals of the business with what you want to do personally, and making sure that we're taking the legal jargon and the accounting jargon and translating what you want to do with how do we make this technically work the best for those different avenues. And then when it's going into selling a business, whether it's a farm or not a farm business, is, the big ones again are going to be lawyer, accountant, financial planner, and then depending on the business, do you need to bring someone in to evaluate what the business is worth so that you can work on over a couple of years getting the most value for that sale, whether if you have more than just a building to sell, right? Because there's all those different intangible things that you can add value to your business over time if we do it over a couple of years to make the most of that sale.
For sure. Yeah, because I know a lot of times clients will, they'll just be moving along and, all of a sudden out of the blue, an offer will come in and, should I sell? Should I not? And I mean, if we haven't had this discussion ahead of time, maybe that business isn't in the right spot tax-wise to sell. Maybe you can't take, advantage of capital gains exemption. Maybe you would put some, passive investments in there, and then you're offside on some of these rules. So having these discussions ahead of time, and I think, any good accountant worth their salt should be bringing these things to mind ahead of time and saying, you might not be even thinking about selling anytime soon, but you're getting to the point where you might go offside on some of these rules. Maybe we need to start introducing a hold company into the mixture to make sure we're on side for some of this stuff. So I think it's always important to have that accountant that's able to kind of take on some of that, forward-looking responsibilities for you as well.
Absolutely, because what I see very commonly is the business owner was a farmer or a welder or a writer, and they did a really, really good job for 10 or 15 years, and then all of a sudden they looked up and they're like, oh, I've got like 6 employees, I've got 5 trucks, I now own 4 quarters of land.
Right.
Wow, is it set up the best way possible? And those are the best problems to have, but
Sure.
make sure you have some experts that you can go talk to and go, look, like I started this out because I wanted to work for myself. I was really good at this skill set. Turns out the market agreed with me. Happy days.
Yeah, for sure.
How do we make sure that this is running as efficiently as possible? And always thinking about, if I've done a really good job at this, someone's going to want to buy it.
Right.
Also great.
Exactly.
But how do we make sure that that's structured so when that day comes, you can put the for sale sign up, right? It's no different than a home. You want to make sure that you've taken all the nicks out of the wall, like the house looks good, lawn looks good, done all the weeding before you put it up for sale. It's the same thing for your business. It's going to take some prep time to keep it in the right shape for that sale. Do you have a runway that you usually, in a perfect world, that you're like, if I had 3 years or 2 years to make the books look awesome for a sale?
I would definitely say you need at least 2 years, just simply for some of those exemption rules. You need that 2-year window for sure. Depending on, like you said, how far you've gotten down the road, you might need a bit more time just to kind of iron out some things. And, I kind of like that analogy, you're getting that business ready to go because, I think when you get into business, I would presume most people's mindset is, they enjoy it, but at the end of the day, that's probably gonna be one of their bigger vehicles for retirement. So you should be working towards, maximizing the value out of that business. So, at some point in time, when you've gotten fairly well established,
Yeah.
you should be kind of thinking maybe a bit more long-term. What can I do, can I structure things slightly different? Can I move employees this way or that way? Can I, whatever the case might be, just to maximize that value, I think. That's a good point.
It's huge, right? Because all of us really enjoy it, but at a certain point, I think all of us are going, like, I'd love to not work 60 hours a week.
Right.
And then I'd love to not work 40 hours a week. How do I do this where I can work 30?
Sure.
Or take 2 months off?
Right.
And all those things, maybe you're not when you're going to sell it, but setting it up so that it can run like that also helps for sale date.
Right. Yeah, I kind of always like to look at it. I mean, when you start out that business, you're essentially an employee of it. You're just there, you're working, you're trying to build it up. Then I think you get to a certain stage where you're able to hire some dependable people, and then you kind of move into more of that manager role. You're just guiding that business. But I think ultimately everybody should be trying to work into the investor stage, where that business can run solely by itself. It doesn't need you anymore. And then you're just kind of the one maybe making those high level decisions, and you're the one that has the capital in it. And you're just steering it down the road and right into retirement.
Yes, I know that would be my goal. Like, make it so that
Yeah,
the train stays on the tracks.
For
You're
sure.
just making sure it's heading in the right direction.
definitely. Perfect.